right, hello everyone. My name is Caryn Butler. Thank you for joining us today on today's podcast. Today we'll be interviewing Ms. Erika Foster. Hi, Erika.
Hello, Karen.
I think, when did we meet?
Look, my brain. What was that? Oh gosh, before the 2019. No, before that. Oh, I met you before that.
Yeah. I mean, was it at the glamping trip?
It was before the glamping trip because you met me at Kim's house and your son was there.
Okay, so we've known each other for about 5 years.
Yes.
We're just going to add them all up together and just say 5 years.
We need two brains to get to the 5 years. Okay.
We'll just ask him later. Thank you for joining us. So today I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions about your military experience.
Okay.
I know that one of the things that we kind of connect on is our time in service.
Yes.
So tell us, what service were you in?
So I was in the Air Force. Yeah, Air Force. The mighty flying Air Force, yes. Yes. So I was an officer in the Air Force. I joined the Air Force. You probably don't ask me this, but I joined the Air Force in 2002. Mm-hmm. My first duty station was Grand Forks, North Dakota.
North Dakota.
Yes, that's how they pronounce it up there, North Dakota.
Like Fargo.
Yes. So an hour north of Fargo. Yeah. So we would drive to Fargo to go to the mall.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Balling.
Yes, big balling. And then I also had like a lot of I call them mini duty stations. So not necessarily TDYs because they were longer than like 3 months, but like at Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama as well, Keesler. So yeah, that was the major points and places that I stayed when I was in the Air Force. Those 3 places. So.
How long were you in?
So I was in 4 years active duty and almost 6 years of reserve. So it was like just shy of 6 years reserves. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we'll round up and say like 10 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when you transitioned, what made you decide to transition out of the military?
Well, the military decided for me. So what happened is they, according to them, they said that they had taken on a lot of people after 9/11, and they didn't realize that they had too many people and not enough budget for all of us, right? So they had to reduce the strength of the Air Force. So they call it force shaping in the Air Force. So for my career field, which was personnelist, they got rid of 68% of us out of the career field. So basically they shut down we call it the MPF. So it's just the Personnel Man Center where people would come in, do all their processing, in processing, out processing, retirement, separations, all of the above. If you got arrested, the orange jumpsuit showed up and we had to do your paperwork. So yeah, that was us. So they closed that completely down. They took all the personnelists out of the individual squadrons. You can go to your personnelists and ask them to file something. They took those out. And then what they did was per group, they had personnelists who were responsible for each group. So that's what they called downsizing everything.
So was this around the time that the Air Force was handing out pink slips? Because I remember a couple of my friends
it was
came to work and they had a pink slip on their desk.
Absolutely.
No explanation, just...
It was around that time. So what they did was for the officers, because they couldn't pink slip us. So they couldn't pink slip all of us. So they came and they basically had a board, decided who they were going to keep, who they were going to get rid of, and then we basically had a meeting to say, hey, we're getting rid of 68% of you, and then later today, if we call you into the commander, we're going to tell you what's going to happen with you. So I was on vacation when they called us in, because they were like, whoa, you going on vacation? I said I was like, yes, it's going to happen whether I'm here or not. Yeah. So the commander called me in, and I just knew. I was like, 68%, I'm not special. I'm going to get hit. So when I went in there, he was like, yeah, we're force shaping you. And I was like, okay. And I think he thought I was going to break down and cry, and just have a fit. I was like, you told me 6 months ago this might be coming, so I'm okay. So once they force shaped us, then I transitioned into the real world. And I was lucky enough that my mother has, did 20 years in the Marine Corps, retired. So she's able to guide me through that transition. So she kind of guided me through the process of understanding that the military and how you talk to people in the military is not how you can talk to people in the civilian world. She talked to me, because in truth, the military never really teaches you how to interview for jobs, right? They teach you how to talk to your commander about EPRs and OPRs and going to training schools, but interviewing for jobs and necessarily writing a resume or a CV, they never talk to you about that, right? So I could write the crap out of an EPR, but I couldn't,
The basics.
yeah, do the basics.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough that my mother could help me with that, because she didn't have that when she got out, right? So she got out, they didn't offer her anything other than good luck and, farewell. So, after 20 years, so she was able to guide me through that. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Once I got out, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna use this criminal justice degree that I spent 4 years getting. So I kind of, finagled. I joined this. I got a position over as a clerk in the Supreme Court of Appeals. I was like, let me see if I really want to stay in this degree. So I was over there and working in that position, and I was like, nah, this is not for me. This is not for me. So that's when the 9/11 GI Bill came out. Okay, so I think it was just the GI Bill before that, and then they turned it into the 9/11 GI Bill. So I applied for that, and I didn't tell anybody at work, because I was like, if it don't work out, I'm still going to need this job till I find another place. And so I got approved for that. And the way that works is, if you have a certain amount of credit hours, they give you money to pay for, your lodging, your living expenses. Excuse me. And they also pay for your school. Yeah. But you just have to make sure you have a certain amount of credit hours. So when I got approved for that, I was like, bye, deuces, I'm out. And so I didn't work. I was like, I'm paying for my living expenses. There's no point. And so I would jump from different master's programs for like one semester. I tried different classes at the base of several master's programs to see what I wanted. Yeah. And I ended up doing a master's in public health. So that's kind of how I ended up here as an epidemiologist. But it was a rough road. I'm not going to lie to you. Trying to figure out what I wanted to do, trying to get used to it. I have to admit, I've said some stuff that has changed people's faces when I first got out. Because, you directly talk to people like, hey, you gave me this. It's wrong. And they're like,
whole different language.
Yeah. So I definitely had to adjust.
So going back to once you received the pink slip, I know that's not the right word, but when you got a pink slip, how much time did you have to actually transition? I don't know, in the Army they used to call it ACAP, Soldier for Life. Yeah. Did you have to go through that?
Yeah, we had to go through that. So once they gave us the paperwork, they thought, I don't know what made them think this, but I think they thought that they were going to dictate to us how long that period was going to be, right? Okay. But I think they underestimated how much leave people had. So what happened was, they told us, hey, we are going to force shape you, and then 6 months from now should be your final out date. And I said, because I have like 3 months worth of leave. So they were like, oh, okay. So I had to hurry up, and they gave us the out processing, Soldier for Life classes, which basically does nothing for you. Yeah. And then I had the out process. So by the time I did all that, and I had to go through all the paperwork as far as for the squadron and get my desk clear, because people kept bringing me stuff like
you were still there.
I was going to be there until the last hour. Yeah. I had to get all that done. So by the time I did that, I really didn't have much time to sit down myself and figure stuff out. And again, my mother gave me the wonderful advice of not selling back my leave, because they were insistent that I sell back my leave and stay here. And my mother was like, that's only going to benefit them. That's not going to benefit you. Yeah. She was like, right now, if you get out, you can buy a house, because technically you work for the military, even though you are on leave. Terminal leave, you work for the military. You can get a house because you work for the military. You can get a car because you work for the military. There's a lot of stuff you can do. She said, but if you sell back your leave and it shows you're separated, all that stuff you can't do right now. So I listened to my mother, thank the Lord, and did that. And my biggest learning process was that point from when I started my terminal leave all the way through applying for a job. Because I just wish that, I'm trying to find a politically correct way of saying it. Just be
honest. This is for all of our audience who want to hear the real stuff of, what it's really like to transition.
Yeah, I wish that the military actually sat down with you and had a daily life class instead of the grass is green and it's a silver lining and you're going to be a soldier forever and we're always a family, and the skills we have given you here have prepared you for everything that you're going to face in the future. That class.
Yep, same thing in the Army.
Yeah, so I wish they had sat down and said, listen, it's going to be hard. Here are the basics. Here's how you write a CV. Here's how you do a resume. If you want to go to school and use your 9/11 GI Bill, this is how you apply for it. This is the rules that you need to understand in order to do that. Here's an example of how you write an email to a civilian colleague. This is what we do in the military. This is what you do to civilian colleagues. I wish they sat down and gave you the basic dummies, transitioning class, because those are the things you truly need. Like the grass is greener on the other side classes.
Oh, yeah.
doesn't really do much for
Did
you.
it at any time during that transition courses that you took, were they trying to push like start your own business, become a contractor?
They pushed GS positions, right?
Yes,
So they pushed GS positions, which I didn't get, because you're telling me in one breath you don't need personnel, and then you're telling me in the next breath join us a GS position personnel.
Support us, yeah.
So I was like, no. And then the other thing is, they wanted you to become a GS position, but then when you looked at the level you were at and what the pay was, I was like, so I'm gonna be making less than what I make as an officer? I'm confused what's happening. I was like, Dad, I'm going backwards?
This is not the route for me.
I was like, I don't think so. And then they also offered us the ability to go into different branches, right? So they were like, you have this 6-month window to sign up for the Army, to sign up for the Navy, to sign up for the Marines and get accepted, and then you can continue as an officer and continue your time.
In your same field?
Yes, you can, or you can go to another field if they accept you. You just have to test into that field in the military. And I was like, nah, I'm good. Because I'm not going to lie, my mother was a Marine. She was like, listen, I love you. But you're too weak for the Marines. Like, I love you. Kissy, kissy. And she was like, and, ground troops, Army, like, they're constantly beaten down. She was like, Marines and Army are ground troops. You beat your body down no matter what career field you're in, right? So she said, in Navy, I know you get seasick. So, and I guess you're a civilian. So I was like, I'm a civilian. So so that was my option. And the truth, I think I want to just get advanced education. Like, I wanted to get more education, right? Like, you know how you get in the military, you're like, I'm gonna get to it when I can.
Yeah.
And then it sneaks up on you.
Time goes by.
Oops, I didn't do that. Yeah, like, oops, that. So I wanted to make sure I took advantage of the 9/11 GI Bill and get that done. Because my undergrad was paid for by my mother's service. So in Indiana, if you retire, if you serve in if you serve, you don't even have to retire. I think if you serve in the state of Indiana. Look, Kim will tell me if I'm wrong or not. But if you serve in the state of Indiana and your children go to one of the local, like the college in Indiana, which Indiana has a lot of colleges, they'll pay like the full scholar, like the full cover for your child's education. So all you have to do is pay for like books, or if your child decides to stay on like a campus, pay for like the dorm,
the housing, or whatever.
So so all of that was paid for. Because of my mother's service. So, and I think this has something also to do with disability. So she has disability. So I got accepted to all the colleges I applied to, and I ended up going to IU. So yeah, that's kind of how that happened. So yeah, so I wanted to continue that legacy of doing that. So
okay, if you could leave one like tidbit of information for the folks who are in process of transitioning within the next year or 2 years, and I know your situation is different. You got the 6 months kind of notice. What would that be?
I'm going to reference my mother again, right? Number one, don't be scared. I think a lot of people end up staying much longer. By no means am I trying to say that everybody who stays a long period in the military beyond that 20 years is trapped or scared, right? Like, some people truly love it. They're gung-ho. That's what they want to do. But some people are scared about that transition. Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to transition? So don't be scared, right? Just dive into it head first. Like, you're going to make mistakes. Just make them and figure it out. Number two, look out for you, right? So if you're 2 years out, like right now, when you take time off, you should be talking to people about outside education. Yeah. You should be visiting people and saying, hey, can I come to your job and see what your job is about? Can I interview you? Can I ask you questions, about what's going on and what you would like? And then, like, the third thing that I suggest, which is what my mother suggests, is don't be scared of no, right? So my mother's like, a lot of times as military people, we're so trained into, do you qualify?
Yeah.
Right? So if you don't qualify for promotion, you don't even bother to apply.
Right. Just off the block.
Because they've given you the points. Like, have you tested? How's your PT? How many years do you have in? How's your EPRs? Here's your points. Do you make where you need to be? Don't apply. Civilian world is different. like you look at a job and you're like, I don't think that works for me. I don't think I have all the qualifications or the time they need. Even if you don't, apply for it.
Yeah. So all they can do is tell you no.
All they're going to do is tell you no. And a lot of times they do this. You know what? Okay. We're going to take you. We'll train you up. We're willing to train you up. We like you, right? So I say, don't be scared of no. Always just, if you see it and you like it and you're hoping for it, go for it. Yeah. Because a lot of times when I first started, I would pull back. Like, I would say, oh no, I don't qualify for this. Yeah. Oh no, and my mother would be pushing me. I'm like, Mom, you don't know what you're talking about. Here's the thing, and it says that you have to
be at this level.
And she's like, and I'm telling you, I've been a civilian longer than you have. So listen to me. And like I had to look at her life, and I was like, oh, she's at an excellent job. She's making a lot of money. How did she get here? I need to pay attention and listen. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly how she did it. She was like, I don't qualify for any of this. I'm gonna apply, and she got jobs doing that. So, I think that's the main thing, because a lot of times we hold ourselves back because we're so used to that mentality. Yeah,
that's true. I think another point that you made was, you talked to your mom, and your mom was there to support you. And I think one of the other things is just having a good support system.
Oh, definitely.
Whether it's your family, friends, previous people that have been through the same experience as you have, but just having that person to say, hey, it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to be, scared of that transition, because it's a big life-changing.
It's a big life-changing.
I mean,
yeah, like me, I only did just shy of 10 total, right?
Right.
So for people who've done 20, you came in as a baby, literally, you left your mother's house,
yep.
and joined the military. Yep. And that's all you've known for 20 years. That your whole adult existence has been the military. That's a shocker, right?
Yeah.
That's like, now what? Like a deep breath. Oh, okay. Let me figure this situation out. So. I get people being scared, but that support system is absolutely necessary. And I know everybody doesn't have the support system, right? So I come from a big military family, especially on my mother's side, right? My mother did 20 in the military, in the Marine Corps. I have cousins who retired from Army, or cousins who retired from the Air Force. While I was in, I had cousins in with, at the same time. So I could reach out to them, right? Even if I couldn't get an answer about something from my mother, I would reach out to one of my cousins in the Air Force, because they know Air Force, right? So everybody doesn't have that. So I say, don't be scared to reach out to your local VA club, right? Reach out to your local, people who are in the military, or were formerly in the military, who might not necessarily be related to your friend, and talk to them. Because a lot of times we know from being in the military, we get excited, like, oh, you're a vet? Oh, okay, do you need help? Well, this is what I did. And, and I think if you don't have that circle, create that circle. It's easy to create that circle. There's VA organizations in every state, every college campus, everywhere you go, there's a VA organization. So I definitely agree with you. That support system is a major thing that you need. Yeah. So. Oh,
also to caveat off of that, the VA, the VFWs, all the other associations out there, even if you see a lot of older people in those, but I think it's still good to join them, or even just go to an interest meeting just to see if, you can still have that camaraderie. Exactly. There's somebody there that had the same experience, or slightly different experience than you, but then that's a community if you don't have that support system there.
Exactly.
Just don't be afraid to make a connection.
Yeah.
They have years of experience.
They do.
That you could, learn from, even if it's a little referral.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a job.
Definitely. And we know from being around each other. For example, I was talking to a fellow veteran, during this week, and he was like, what, I really don't talk much. I don't like to talk much about my time in the military. But when he gets around other military people, that's when he likes to talk about it, right? Yeah. So that's what a lot of military people are like. Like I'm like that at work. They're like, oh, you were a veteran? We didn't, I worked at my job for a year until Veterans Day came back around the next year, and I went to an event. Yeah. They were like, oh, that's just for veterans. I was like, the people who hired me knew. But my coworkers was like, oh, why didn't you tell us? Well, I didn't. No offense, you can't relate, so I don't want to have to
explain
everything I talk about. Yep. Yeah. So it's definitely important to have those people you can talk to, and kind of, even if you just want to get stuff off your chest, right?
Yes.
Because sometimes people think you're crazy when you talk about stuff from the military. They're like, that doesn't seem like that was so difficult. I don't understand what the problem is. Yes, and you're like, oh, okay,
just to be able to talk that lingo just a little bit. You know? Even if you're like, don't understand. Yeah. I need to talk to somebody.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And I think everybody's experience is different, and yours is truly, truly different from my own. But the reason that we're doing these podcasts is just so that everybody can have experience on, or insight on everybody's different experiences.
Exactly.
Because what I experienced versus what you experienced versus what Steve experienced, totally different.
Completely, yeah.
And to know that you're not alone.
Yeah.
That there is somebody there to help you and support you, no matter what your situation. So there is life.
No, there is definitely after the military.
After the military.
Yeah.
I mean, you might feel a little unsure, but that's everybody. Everybody goes through that.
Yeah.
But having a good support system, And if you have a supportive chain of command, which obviously you kind of sort of did, to help you with that transition out of the military, then the better your experience will be. So, Erika, I want to thank you for joining us today.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
I had no idea that you got the pink slip. And look at you making like 6 figures right now, just doing great things.
Yeah, definitely. Went from being ashamed to tell people what happened to like telling everybody, oh, I got it.
Thank you all for joining us today. It's been fun talking to Miss Erika, and we hope that you'll join us for our next session or series or whatever it's called. Bye.